So this is just a short little video on feeding sourdough. I use einkorn and freshly milled flour, which is a wetter flour. A lot of the flours in the store, they separate out the oils and the nutrients. It makes it more shelf stable. I prefer to use this because it's more natural. I keep my sourdough starters in the refrigerator, and then I take them out once a day to feed. So this is my starter, and then this is another one. I like to keep them in glass. I think it works better for sure. Now I don't measure. I just go by the feel of the sourdough, like the consistency of how thick it is. And because my flour is wetter, I use a little less water than I do flour. So I just kind of go by how thick, or I just try and keep it a nice even thickness, kind of like, maybe pancake batter. And then whenever you're feeding your sourdough starter, you don't want to put more flour in than half of what your starter is. So I would put like a tablespoon in here, but I don't want to put so much flour in here that it overwhelms the starter, and it would cause it maybe to not be as sour. It'd go bad. So the thicker your starter is, the less you have to feed it. The colder you keep it, the less you have to feed it. The warmer it is, the more it's going to bubble. And then the thinner the starter is, the more easily it'll go bad. And when the starter goes bad, well, so sometimes the starters will get that brown liquid on top, which is a type of alcohol. And you can just pour it out, and you can either re-stir up the starter, or you can take like a tablespoon out of it and restart the starter with a new fresh batch and adding flour and that kind of stuff. So, but if your starter is thinner, you're more likely to cause it to go bad. So I keep mine on the thicker side, and then I keep them in the refrigerator after I feed them. So I'm going to put, this is a tablespoon. I just put a nice heaping amount in there. This one's got quite a bit in there, so I'm going to put a couple. This one here is a little less, so I'm just going to put one in there. And then I just kind of eyeball it, go based on feel, and then I'm going to stir these up and just stir in that flour so it's feeding this starter, okay? And then stir this one in. And every once in a while, so this one's pretty thin. I'm actually going to add more flour to it because I don't want it quite as thin. So I'm just going to add some more flour. But I still haven't added too much flour, so I don't want to overwhelm it, but it should be fine. So that's better, like thickness wise. And then every once in a while, every couple weeks, I take the starters out of these containers that I have them in and put them in a different jar, and then I clean these containers because they get a little, you'll get, when you're stirring it, you get stuff on the side. So then when I'm done feeding them, I just put the lid on like that. I don't latch it. I just want to keep bugs out. And then this one, I do the same thing. And then I just sit it on the counter until it starts to bubble up. And then I put it in the fridge if I'm not going to use it. If I am going to use it, I'm going to use part of this, then I will take that out and let it sit on the counter and bubble up even more, depending on the recipe that you're using. But most recipes will explain how to do that. So I hope that helps.